So hello everyone, Sandra here, and I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to our Monday morning musing webinar. I'm just going to wait for a couple more people to jump on before we start because it is just 10 o'clock. Welcome to who's here. And I will share my screen just so that everyone knows that I do have my chat box up, so if anyone wants to ask any questions, please do so. Put my slides on. Hope everyone's having a great Monday. A little bit cold here in Melbourne. Again, if you're on Facebook and you want to join, please come over to follow the link and jump on the webinar. So welcome to another Monday morning webinar. And today we're doing the keys to an achievable outcome. These 9 keys to an achievable outcome are actually the 9 keys that are taught in NLP, and they're absolutely amazing to follow. So if you ever sit down and have a goal or an outcome that you want, even if it's not 100% clear of what it is that you actually want, these keys to an achievable outcome will help you get a lot more clear in your outcome and how to achieve it. So I find these absolutely amazing. Sorry guys, I am a little bit dark. I'm going to probably just step back a little bit on the webinar, trying to get the lighting right in here. So enjoy today. If you have any questions, as I said, the chat box is up. Please ask the questions, but let's get started because there are 9 keys to go through and I'd like to have this done in 30 minutes. If you are on Facebook and you would like to jump over, please register through the link and you can jump over, okay? So the first key is that whatever your outcome is, it needs to be stated positively. So what most people do when they think about an outcome or a goal, something that they want, is that they always know exactly what you don't want. It just seems to be a default that we go into and we know what we don't want. And we can say, oh, you know, I don't want to have any more debt, or I don't want to have to worry about money anymore, but they don't state positively what they want. So the very first key to an achievable outcome is to state what you want, to understand exactly what it is that you want, and to state it in that manner rather than state what you don't want. So even if you're not 100% clear exactly what to do or how to get to this outcome or what it is that you actually want to do, you know, what you want to achieve, as long as it's stated positively, it actually begins to get you in the right direction. So always remember, when you set a goal, when you set an outcome, when you're working towards achieving something, what is it that you want in a positive state? And the other problem why we don't do it any other way is because the unconscious mind actually doesn't understand a negative. So if you say, I don't want debt, the unconscious mind actually doesn't understand that negative, and it thinks debt, 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 debt. So state it in a positive manner. So if you don't want debt, let's say that's what you're thinking, you can reframe it and say, I would like financial freedom. So really important to state what you're wanting positively, okay? And what specifically do you want? This is another thing that people, you know, don't think about too much. What specifically do you want? Okay. The next thing that you need to look at is, where are you right now? So you can't get to your outcome if you don't acknowledge where you are right now. It's like in a GPS. That's hence the picture on the slides, everyone. You know, it's great for me to say I want to go from where I am now to the city. But unless I have awareness of exactly where I am now, how am I going to know what path to take? So you need to, whatever this outcome that you're getting to, you know, let's say it is financial. We're going to go down that road today. I'm going to talk about finances. So let's say, you know, you want to go down that path of financial freedom. Okay, you need to know exactly what is it that, you know, what debt are you in now, so that you can slowly work your way out of that and down the path to financial freedom. So you must know your present situation. Where am I right now? Become really aware of it, and become really aware of it in a really, I'm trying to think of the word, but become aware of it without lying to yourself. You know, this is where I'm really at. This is what's happening. This is why I'm at this situation. It's not about judging. It's not about anything other than becoming aware of where you are, so you can take that path to get to that positively stated specific outcome. So maybe, you know, the first thing that you want to get to is to have, you know, let's say if you're in a lot of debt, the first thing you might want to get to is to having $500 saved in a bank account, and then the debt sort of takes care of itself if you get there. So I hope that's making sense. If anyone has any questions here on the webinar, please do ask. Okay. So we did say before specifically what you want. Specify your outcome. What is it exactly that you want? It's great to say financial freedom or I want more money. But what does that mean? If I give you 20 cents, you've got more money than what you had before. So you need to specify how much do you want. Do you want $1,000 in your bank account by the end of the year? Do you want $2,000? What specifically is it that you're aiming for? You know, and a great way to do this, and I always call this beyond the outcome or beyond the money or whatever you want to call it, but what will you see, feel, hear when you have it? What are you going to feel like? It's really important, because we understand that 95% of what we do is unconscious, that you have a really, really good feeling in your body, kinesthetic feeling of what it's going to be like when you hit that outcome or that goal. And also too, what will you see? You know, will you see money in your bank account? And what will you hear? And sometimes that hearing doesn't necessarily have to come from other people. That hearing can be from yourself, saying to yourself, well done, you did that. Okay, so get really specific with your outcomes. This is one of the things that a lot of people don't do when they set goals. They don't get specific. They say they want more of this, they want more of that, but what does that mean? Your unconscious mind is not logical, and it's quite, you know, it works quite ambiguously actually, and it doesn't know what you mean. So you need to give it specific instructions. I always say, pretend you're talking to a 3-year-old and give the unconscious mind specifics. So let's say we're going to go down that money again. I want some financial freedom. Well, in 6 months, I want to see $2,000 in my bank account. Okay, everything else, for you to be able to have that $2,000 saved, everything else will have to fix itself. I'm sitting at my study desk looking at my CBA website, and I have 20K in my bank account. I feel fabulous, and wow, yes, I can coach as a business. Well done, Richard. I love it, actually. That's really good. That is absolutely getting specific. Okay. And also, you've actually fulfilled the next key, which is the evidence procedure. What evidence will you need to see? How will you know when you have that? See, one of the things that we do is we say, and I get this a lot with clients, okay, I want to be happier, but you can be happier now if you choose to. So you need evidence procedure, and you did it so well, Richard, because your evidence procedure is that you're sitting and you're seeing the 20K in your bank account. So what evidence will you see? This will help you make it even more specific. What do you need to see to know that you have achieved that goal? Okay, so make sure you know what you need to have or see, and make it specific and make it tangible. Make sure that it's something tangible, even if it is, I'm happier, I want to be happier. What will you see, feel, hear to make yourself know that you're happier? And it could be maybe you know, something like going for a walk every day or jumping out of bed with, you know, lots of energy. What is your evidence to say, yep, I've got it? And for other people to be able to look in and say, oh, something's changed. So have a really good think about this one. This is the one that actually tricks up a lot of people. This is where I find a lot of people cannot give me evidence. In some areas it's really easy, like if we're talking about money, if we're talking about stuff like health and fitness, it's easy. But in some more ambiguous areas it can be a little bit difficult. To refine on and before 12, I am sitting at my desk looking at my CBA website and I see 20K in the bank account. I feel fabulous and wow, yes, I can coach as a business, giving myself permission to do this before the date. Absolutely. Well done, Richard. This is another really important one, and one where we talk about and fits into my 7 Steps to Living with Intention program as distractions. So if you're in my Entrepreneurs Leading with Intention group, you know that I think it's on Wednesdays we have the distraction day. And are you congruent with this outcome? In other words, one of the things that people don't look at when it comes to creating outcomes, they don't think about how it's actually going to affect other areas of their lives. So what tends to happen is you set an outcome and you don't sit and think, am I actually congruent with this outcome? One of the best metaphors that I use for this particular key here is the fact that, and the other day I actually have someone in my Create an Intentional Life program who actually said to me the other day that she has this congruency problem because she wants to work and build a business, yet she wants to look after her children. And this is one of the ones that comes up all the time. If you have value clashes, if you really want something but it will take you away from something that you feel is possibly more important, you will find that the outcome is harder for you to gain. So have a look at what will you get from this and what will it allow you to do. Okay, so really have a think about, is this what you really want? That's another question that people don't often ask, and this is something that I personally found myself, that I started going towards a particular goal and I wasn't congruent with it. It wasn't what I really wanted, but I thought that that goal was what I wanted because it was something that was attached to, you know, society's belief of something, and when I really sat with me, it wasn't what I really wanted. I am at my goal weight of 65 kilos, and I know this because when I cross my legs, they sit closely together because they are thinner. I also can now wear my tight fitting dresses. Beautiful. I like that too. I like that. Very good. That's absolutely your evidence procedure. Well done. So yeah, so like I said, really important that you also understand, is this really what I want? And for the people, my mastermind group, where I share absolutely everything with them, I had an opportunity earlier this year to take my business to a certain level, of which when I sat back and really thought about it, I was not congruent with it. It wasn't really what I wanted to do. Okay, so when you sit, we're going to talk about that a little bit more in one of the other keys, but really have a look at this goal, this outcome. Is it, what are you going to get? What's it going to allow you to do? And is that what you really, really want? The next one is self-initiated and self-maintained. Now, really important that when you create an outcome, that it's self-initiated. In other words, that you don't need anyone else to push you to create that. And you can do it without needing anyone to keep pushing you. If you create a goal or an outcome that is for someone else, you're going to lose your passion towards that. One of the reasons why people don't reach their goals and their outcomes is because they do it for someone else, because it's important for someone else, because someone else has pushed you into it, or because you think it's what is the accepted norm. But all goals and outcomes must be self-initiated. You need to be the one to do it, and you need to be the one to pull through for it. So it needs to be 100% for you. You must have the passion to want to have this outcome. It makes it a lot easier and you get there a lot quicker. But if it's not for you and it's been done for any other reason, you'll find it difficult to get to that outcome because you'll lose interest in it eventually. But if it's for you, if it's what you want and you can maintain it because you have passion behind it, it makes the goal a lot easier to achieve. Okay? The goal must absolutely be contextualized as well. So where, when, how, and with whom. So these are some questions you need to ask yourself. Where is this going to happen? Right? And some of these might not fit in, depends on the goal. You've got to have a look at these and see how does it fit in with whatever specific area of life you're working with. When, really important, when do you want this? And thanks to to Richard, who put in dates. You've listened to me too much, Richard. You know, when do you want it? Really important. Where do you want it? How and with who? Okay, so you need to contextualize your goal, your outcome. Where do you want this to happen? When do you want it to happen by? How do you want it to happen? And with who do you want it to happen? Is there anyone else involved? And this is something I learned. No, well done, Richard. You're allowed to jump ahead. This is one that I learned a few years ago when I put a goal out there, an outcome about going overseas, and I forgot to add my husband into it. And I actually did go overseas, but I ended up going with some of my family and my husband stayed behind. So don't forget that where, when, how, and with who, you need to contextualize it. You need to put, you know, when you write an outcome, the more specific, the more content you put into it, the more likely that it is going to happen because your unconscious mind has a really clear path of where you're going to go. Okay, this is another really important one. What resources do you need? And sometimes you might need none, but sometimes you might need some resources. So when you look at this outcome of yours, and this morning I was on a mentoring call for me, because I believe every coach needs a coach, every mentor needs a mentor. And we spoke about something that I'm doing in my business, and we spoke about the resources that I need. And I actually do need to get some resources. So one of the things that you need to ask yourself to know whether you need to get some resources, and this is really interesting because you don't want to be looking at limiting beliefs here. So, you know, if you're thinking you need a resource, you need to cut it down to make sure it's not just a belief, okay? So one of the things that you can ask is, have you done this before? And allow yourself to know how you've done it. Do you know anyone that does? Now, this is one of the things that I've been doing. In NLP, we learn about modeling. Now, modeling is not about copying people. Really important that this is understood, that modeling is not about copying people. Modeling is about looking at people that you admire, getting inspiration, knowing that they can do it, and asking yourself, how did they get there? Okay, so do you know anyone that does, and how are they getting them? Perhaps that's where you find that you need to get some resources. And the other one is, can you act like you have it? This is really, really an important one. The unconscious mind has no idea between past, present, and future. It just doesn't. And we see that every day because we live in our past so easily. So it goes to say that if it doesn't have any idea of the past, it has no idea of the future. So if you start to get some of these steps that we've already gone through, so what are you going to see, feel, and hear, and actually create these outcomes from a place of already having it, the unconscious mind actually does not know that you don't have it. So it's an amazing way to get the unconscious mind to all of a sudden you start to behave in ways like you've already got that goal. So have a think of what resources do you need? Is there anything else that you need to get yourself to where you want to be? And sometimes you do, And sometimes you don't, but you need to be able to understand that and to see whether, you know, when you're struggling or thinking that you possibly can't get to an outcome, that you need to really have a good look at, have you done it before? How did you get there? Is there someone else? What are they doing? Do I need to do something else? And can you act like you have it? Okay. This is one that's really, really interesting. So is it ecological? And some of the questions that you need to ask here, and this is the last one, for what purpose do you want this? Okay. It is, again, like I said, it is going beyond the actual outcome itself. Why do you want to do this? What's the purpose of it? And ask yourself. Because this is where the real gold is. I often find that it's a little bit easier to do all the other stuff in these keys. And when it gets to this last one, this is the one where you need to start digging quite deep. So for what purpose? What is the purpose? What is the passion? I have sticky notes. I'm just about to condense it into a really big whiteboard that hopefully is coming today from Officeworks to put all my quotes and things on my sticky note, or my purpose, my passion across the top of this whiteboard, and, you know, put my notes in that so that I can see it at any one time. My purpose, to remember my purpose of why I want what I want. Really important. Okay. Now, what will you gain or lose if you have it? Now, this is really important. What will we gain when we create an outcome usually comes up very quickly and very consciously. What will you lose is more of an unconscious question. And again, I'll go back to one of the other keys when I said, are you congruent with this? Really important that you know and you are aware of something that you might lose. And you know what? It might be okay. You might be all right with it, but you may not. So really important. It goes back to, you know, a mum starting her business. One of the things that she would lose to create this business is as much time with her kids as what she has now, or a mum going back to work. Okay, so it's really important that you understand these things and then you work through them. Okay, it doesn't mean that you can't have your goal because you're going to lose something. Absolutely not. You can still have the goal. This is all about awareness. It's all about the intention behind why you're doing what you're doing, and the awareness. Once you have awareness, you can change anything. Okay. The next question you need to ask is, what will happen if you get this? Okay, so what will happen if you get this? What's going to happen? How is your life going to change, and the life of people around you that you care about? Now we're getting into some NLP linguistics here. What won't happen if you get this? Again, it goes back to those first few questions above. Okay, so a little bit similar questions. So what won't happen if you get this? And to me, that is probably even more important than what will happen, because that's where unconsciously we sabotage. And this is where people don't understand that one of the reasons why you self-sabotage is because of something that you're not going to get when you have this outcome. And it's no judgment, guys. It doesn't matter what you come up with. It's just the awareness that's the important part. What will happen if you don't get this? Okay. So what will happen if you don't get it? Really important to understand this one here too. One of the things that I teach both my mastermind and in a lot of my programs is about coming from a place of scarcity and fear. When you create an outcome or a goal, you want to be looking at it positively from a place of what it's going to give you rather than what it's not going to give you if you don't get that. Okay, so a little bit of a reframe in the thinking there, but so incredibly important. Because what I have found personally, and with many, many clients and many, many business owners that I'm now helping, that if you come from a place of lack, a place of, if I don't do this, a desperate place of having to achieve a goal because of what you're not going to get, you actually make it a lot harder for yourself to get that goal. And also too, you're not focusing on the positive, you're focusing on the negative aspect of the goal. So again, really important that you understand that as well. And then the last question is, what won't happen if you don't get it? Okay, so a little bit linguistic there. These are taken from some NLP linguistics. But, you know, I highly urge you, although the questions sound like they're asking the same thing, they're actually not. So I highly urge you to have a look at these questions and to ask them in that manner, because it will actually give you a different perspective of what you want in your outcome. Now, these keys to an achievable outcome are absolutely brilliant. They can be given to anyone at any time. They can be used in an education sense, given to kids to look at. They can be used in personal development, in business, in anything at all, because it really gets you to sit down, create an outcome. It gives you some clarity around the outcome as well, especially in the what specifically do you want. But it also gets you to really, really understand yourself and what's going on an unconscious level that could be stopping you from getting this goal or this outcome that you're so wanting to achieve. Okay? So if anyone has any questions, please ask, guys. I got through those nice and quick, which was good. But thank you again for being here. You can find me under Sandra Madaffrey on these 4 platforms at the moment. YouTube, there's lots of other videos in YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram. If you need anything, please, I urge you to reach out. Thanks, Michelle. I'm glad you liked it. For those who don't know, I have got a couple of groups. I've got a fabulous entrepreneurs and a fabulous women's group, and also an entrepreneurs leading with intention group, where we share lots of stuff in there. There's lots of people in there sharing things every day. And also I do have lots of other programs coming up. I think the last question really digs to the soul. What emotions come out when you don't get something? That won't happen. Exactly right, Richard. And it's really, like I said, it's really important that you really, really have a look at where you're coming from with that too, because if you're coming from a place of lack, it is not a good feeling to be in lack or fear, and the unconscious mind will actually work away from that goal, okay, because it's feeling the fear. So you actually go into fight or flight. So really important that you understand that. And once you do this once, so I highly recommend that you go back over it again, because what will happen is you'll do the first question, you'll go down to that 9th question, and you'll have other insights. Go back and do it again, because then you'll answer the questions differently the second time. So really important. So I hope you enjoyed this, guys. If you're wanting any more help, please let me know. If you would like to know more about my mastermind mentoring program for business owners, please reach out, or some of my other programs that are coming up. There's a few trainings, and then there's a self-confidence program coming up in September very, very soon. After that, I haven't made too many plans as yet. I'm just waiting to see what happens here in Melbourne with the coronavirus, but I have got some amazing plans for next year. So if you're wanting to know more information, or how possibly one of the programs or the mastermind might help you, reach out and let me know. I'd love to have a chat with you to see if there's something that we can help you with. Thanks again, guys. I look forward to seeing you next week. We've got a really interesting one next week. It's going to be all about social media and posts that convert. I'm going to share with you the 5 different posts that you should be making on social media that will get clients to start noticing you. So I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great Monday. For those who are able to join us, 11 o'clock, virtual coffee catch up. I'd love to see you there where we just have a beautiful open discussion. Thanks for being here, guys. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye for now. Before I'm going to go and journal and do some journaling around my goal, because I realized it's coming from fear. Beautiful, Des. You also are privy to some of this stuff around fear that we've done through a couple of the programs. So go back and listen if you need to some of those videos, and how you can twist it around so that you're not coming from fear. Really important, really, really important. People don't realize that if you set a goal because it's coming from lack, you're going to struggle. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.